Before you guys, as you can tell, my company's named Invo Technologies. Our mission statement is to create a better digital economy, and you'll see exactly what that means as we go through the presentation. The problem that we're attacking is for the game industry. They have high player churn. When a game is normally released, it loses typically up to 85% of its player base within the first 7 days. And most of these games cost anywhere from, 10 million to $100 million for the AAA games. And they're high marketing costs for those games as well. And to recoup costs, they don't have much opportunity to actually do that because there's not much revenue streams available to that studio to actually recoup the cost of that loss that they have. Our solution for this that Invo has brought to the table is we're intending to tokenize the video game economy. And by doing so, we are able to boost the revenue of that particular game over its lifetime up to 70%. Now, while doing this, we end up actually increasing the player engagement for the players of that particular game. And studios tend to have millions, if not billions of dollars a game on the shelf already. So they can actually, with our tech, bring those games back into the marketplace and create more monetization opportunities for those games, right? And I'll get right into actually our process and actually how that actually happens. So what we do is a game developer, whether they're in Unity or Unreal or Godot, they're able to integrate our technology. And what that does is enable their players to move cash from game A to game B, right? This could be within their library of games, or it can actually be, external. It can be open to their competitors if they so choose. And it's a very simple process. Player moves cash from one game to the next. And as they do this, we charge a fee. And this fee that we charge is 10%. We give 3.5% to the developer that's losing the player. We give the other 3.5% to the developer that's gaining the player. And so if the developer, if it's both of their games, they'll end up making 7% in total. We have 2% for ourselves, and we reserve 1% for Steam, PlayStation Network, or Origin, or the likes of those networks. And the reason why we do that is we want to enfranchise those platforms so they can actually we can incentivize them to have these Web3 games on, because whether these games are Web3 or Web2, our technology essentially just plugs in a Coinbase or Uniswap into the game, converting their game economy into actual real economy with real macro and microeconomic principles behind it. We have actually gone a significant way in our development, and we actually have demo right now. So I'm just going to play a 60-second video for you so you can see our demo before I continue the presentation.
Hello, and welcome to Invo's first demo. We're going to be demonstrating moving gems from one game to the next. So let's go ahead and click on the Invo transfer option to start the transfer process. Now that we're in the settings panel, let's click on the Invo transfer tab to begin. Now, I only want to move 130 gems to Angry Birds, so let's do that. Please note that there's a transfer pin, as we're going to need that later. Cool. Now let's wait for our notification before we switch to Angry Birds. There it is. Okay, so as I go into the settings here, you can see that the Invo transfer windows are customizable to any game. Now let's click on the IV icon in the top left corner to claim the gems from Raid. And I've already entered the pin, but you'll have to do this manually when transferring. And there you have it.
Okay, so that's our demo. Our process to actually do this is actually patent pending. Our patent is published right now. So if you go to the US Post Office website and you search, you'll actually see our patent there. It's made public. So we're patent pending at the moment, and we're super excited about this because we're using game engine technology and blockchain technology to actually facilitate for this trade. We do have a utility token that's actually pinning the value behind these in-game tokens, or gems, or whatever the case may be, so that we can actually match the transfer between the games. The traction that we have right now is we have traction, which is a ZKP provider. We use a lot of zero knowledge proofs in our system for off-chain to on-chain transactions. We've also partnered with Good Dog Studios, which is, the founder of Good Dog Studios is Chance Glasgow, the same gentleman who is a co-founder of Infinity Wars and Call of Duty. We've partnered with several other studios as well, including game engine companies like Meta Engine. We're currently in contact with Prime Games, Amazon Prime Games. They're not in our deck because that's relatively new. and they're looking to start the process of beginning to demo our system within the next 4 months. So we're working towards that. The market opportunity that we have before us is the game industry is $300 billion in revenue annually. There's over 59,000 studios that make up that revenue, and in 2022 there was over 10,000 games that were launched in one calendar year. What that means for us is in terms of our revenue projections, and by the way, we do have a pro forma, so if you're interested, we could share that with you, or the summary of our pro forma. But I wanted to break down the numbers so you can actually see what it'll take for us to make a $200 million revenue. If we're looking at 10% transfer, which is our gross, that 10% will be our gross revenue. If we're looking at, the average monthly spend of a player is $97. If that player spends twice or transfer that amount twice, essentially is $19.40. Which is, 10, basically 10%, or that 3.5%. If we had 5.2 million players or gamers do that transferring and transferring out, which represents 0.064% of the total market of gamers out there, would easily be able to make a $200 million revenue within a calendar year. And that's what we're looking at right now. We actually did a case study on a very well-known game called Anthem, and we took their numbers and we applied our projections to them. And Anthem, within the first 30 days of launching, they had 6 million gamers enter their game. If they were entering their game through the Invo system or utilizing the Invo system, Anthem would have made $8 million in revenue within the first 30 days. Keep in mind, Anthem was made for $90 million, and they spent I think $30 million in marketing, and they only made $100 million back after all of their sales. So our ability to actually monetize that negative player churn is what studios, small and big, are very excited about, because it's very unique the way we actually put our tech together. And obviously it can all be done because we're actually utilizing the blockchain and its facilities there. The roadmap in terms of where we are right now, where we plan to be, we finished our internal demo, which we just shared with you in Q3 2023. We're looking to start the auditing of our code and all of our smart contracts second quarter of this year, and third quarter of this year we're looking to start closed beta with our clients onboarding, like Prime Games and the others that we've been signing up. And we look far beyond that to start establishing our merchant account exit for players. And what that really means is, and I'm not going too deep into it, but because these gems are actual cash or representation of cash through our utility token within the games that the user is passing back and forth, we intend to actually have that user, or rather give them the ability to buy pizza if they wanted to, or Uber Eats, or a Lyft ride, or whatever the case may be. So to fulfill that circle, that value circle that we're creating to them, so they can actually bring the digital to the real life, right? We call it digital to IRL. So that's our plan. Advisors, our advisory board, we're very proud of. We have David P. Clark. He's a former president of Take-Two Entertainment. He's also the gentleman that greenlit Grand Theft Auto. We have Chance Glasgow. I mentioned him earlier in the presentation. Chance is a co-founder of Infinity Wars and Call of Duty, and he just started his new studio, Good Dog Studios. He will be using our tech as well. And we have our final advisor, John Youssef, over 20 years in game development. He's worked on World of Warcraft, Fortnite, and he's also CEO of his own studio as well. So the ability to actually bigger studios, and that's what we've been doing through our advisors, not only to find product market fit, but also to actually get them on board as customers as well. The team behind Invo is, of course, myself. I'm the founder and CEO. I have over 20 years of experience in software engineering. I have founded several companies, and the last project I did in web space was an NFT project for Hulu and Peacock. Jonathan Cooper is my CFO. He has 30 years in the financial services industry. He was also the former CEO of HSBC Grand Cayman, and also former head of risk management at PwC. My CTO is Dylan Kowalik. He's former the technology evangelist of B&B Chain and founder of Bridge Builders DAO, and one of the lead researchers at Harmony and Findora. And the opportunity that we're looking to offer is we're raising Series A at $6 million. We have a $60 million pre-money valuation. As you can see, we have a pro forma already. This is just a screenshot of a summary of our pro forma. So if you're interested, we can actually give you access to our data room, and you can actually go ahead and review all of our numbers and our projections, and where we're intending to use the funds to actually do what we need to do. And that's it for the presentation.